I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. A few of them, actually. But before I tell you what this video is, let me tell you what this video isn't. This isn't a history lesson on one of the most influential shows in television history. It is most certainly not a retrospective on David Lynch and Mark Frost's transformative odyssey of the odd but good-natured FBI Special Agent Dale Cooper and his investigation of a murder in a small town on the Pacific Northwest. It is absolutely not a review or analysis of the story wherein the town's beloved homecoming queen, Laura Palmer, struggles against otherworldly supernatural entities that invade her life, as well as the all-too-real demons of self-destructive behavior, drug addiction, and sexual abuse. And it is definitely not an in-universe explanation of those unexplained supernatural events or speculation on their identity. The true nature of this video is a look at Twin Peaks from a filmmaking perspective, specifically the climactic finale, Beyond Life and Death. Together, let's explore David Lynch as a filmmaker and see what we can learn from his techniques used in the most climactic moments of this masterpiece of an episode. These are Lessons from the Black Lodge, a study of Lynch and Twin Peaks. Now, before I go any further, please do not watch this video unless you have seen Twin Peaks. I get that some of you watch my videos because you like me and you like the way that I put them together, and that is honestly the sweetest thing ever, and I love you. But please, for the love of God, do not watch this video unless you have seen Twin Peaks. And also, watch Twin Peaks. It is the original cult-following TV show, and it is one of the most important programs in television history. It's part murder mystery, part small-town drama series, and part avant-garde experimental journey into the wonderful and strange. If you haven't seen at least the first 2 seasons of this show, please do not rob yourself of that experience, because this video has major spoilers. And by the way, if you are going to take my advice here, the watch order for Twin Peaks is the first 2 seasons of the original series, the 2 prequel films, Fire Walk With Me and The Missing Pieces, and then the revival season of the show. The first 2 seasons all passed through the CBS censors in the early 90s, but the film Fire Walk With Me and the Showtime revival both contain graphic, violence, and sexual content. They are not for everyone, so please keep that in mind. Okay, Beyond Life and Death, the Season 2 finale. In this episode, Coop pursues his lover Annie Blackburn and his former partner-turned-murderous psychopath Wyndham Earle into an unsettling and otherworldly place described by one of its inhabitants as the waiting room. Although the true identity of this setting is debated and somewhat open for interpretation, for the sake of convenience, let's refer to this labyrinth of red curtains and chevron tiles as the Black Lodge. The Black Lodge sequences from Twin Peaks are all prominent special effects sequences, but the effects themselves aren't especially difficult to do or out of the ordinary. Lynch creates strange characters, bizarre imagery, and otherworldly settings not through extensive use of prosthetics, animatronics, matte paintings, CG, or miniatures. Instead, Lynch goes back to basics, using only the 2 most rudimentary yet powerful tools every filmmaker has at their disposal: the camera and the edit, the 2 things that the art form itself is founded upon. Every major effect in this sequence, save for maybe one pyrotechnics display, is achieved through thoughtful camera psychology for each shot and creative editing between them. Using cinematography and editing as an expression of the Black Lodge's mysterious powers plays to the interpretation of Twin Peaks as metafiction, that it is essentially a story about storytelling and how stories blur the line between fiction and reality.
We are like the dreamer who dreams and then lives inside the dream.
But I'm getting ahead of myself, and I promised you this wouldn't be an analysis video.
Elaborate on that.
No.
Instead, let's discuss Lynch's filmmaking in that climactic sequence. Breaking down the cinematography and the editing require knowing a little bit about what we're looking at. So let's first discuss the acting, set design, and lighting that come into play. The set for the Black Lodge was first seen in Cooper's dream in an earlier episode, a scene that was mostly improvised by Lynch, his actors, and his crew over the course of several hours. It resulted in images that permanently stained the imagination of the world with their weirdness and creativity. The actors were instructed to speak their lines backwards, and in the edit, Lynch reversed the footage and audio to make them go forwards again, but with an eerie, dreamlike quality to them.
And you say,
"Hello, Agent Cooper. Report, take me, Paula." "Hello, Agent Cooper."
Not only did the actors have to recite their lines in reverse speak, but because their footage was going to be played in reverse, every action had to be done in reverse order so that things would line up sequentially.
Report to nature, Paula. "Hello, Agent Cooper."
It might seem simple here, but when the actions get much more complicated and intense as the sequence progresses, the amount of work that went into the continuity and structure makes it clear that this is the result of a master at work. Now, the set design itself is simple, but therein lies its brilliance. It's essentially a chevron pattern floor, red curtains, a few chairs, and some decorative oddities. But everything ties back or foreshadows something in the story. There's no shortage of red curtains in Twin Peaks. We'll see them again in the Roadhouse, in Jacques Renault's cabin, and in the One-Eyed Jack's casino. The Venus de Milo statue is mentioned a couple of times.
Kind of reminds me of that statue, the babe without the arms.
The Black Lodge is a convergence point for the story, wherein time flows freely in all directions. In the final episode of the original series, it serves as the place where Cooper confronts the demons of both his past and his future. He faces characters familiar and mysterious, and events/scenarios that he has previously survived and some that haven't occurred yet that he might not make it out of. The Black Lodge serves that special purpose in the story of tying together the past and the future. Its red curtains evoke memories of theater curtains. Its strobing light effects call to mind the flickering of a projector on a motion picture screen. The backwards speech of its inhabitants draws special attention to the audio we're listening to. If film is the marriage of images and sounds, then Twin Peaks' Black Lodge is the purest form of filmmaking, presenting those raw cinematic elements in the most creative and possibly self-referential way possible. Let's talk about that camera. One of my favorite ways the Black Lodge distorts its own presentation is through the angles. More than once, the man from another place is shot from an angle that is so high up that it makes him look downright tiny. And without other objects or characters in the frame, we have no frame of reference for how small he really is. So for all we know, in this moment, he could be the size of a mouse. The editing, of course, plays a role that is just as pivotal as the cinematography. Characters appear and disappear through the magic of editing. Lynch cuts away from shots only to cut back to the same environment with different characters having suddenly appeared. Characters like Laura, Maddie, and Annie appear and disappear at times through fade transitions and the compositing of multiple shots, one with the actress present and one without. It's a simple effect, but that's really the point. The idea is to manipulate the images themselves to create a visual illusion. Furthermore, cutting between shots is used here to demonstrate the Lodge's power over the continuity of the images we're seeing. The man from another place rubs his hands together while a delicate ringing sound is heard. And as he does this, Coop's coffee switches from the consistency of a normal cup of joe to something like a gelatinous pudding, then again to thick molasses. The residents of the Black Lodge have an otherworldly dominion over reality itself, leaving Coop effectively powerless and at the Lodge's mercy. Although it appears to be an endless labyrinth, in reality, it's just the same exact room. It's the placing of shots wherein Coop walks through the curtains over and over that creates the illusion of this infinite space. That's the power of editing at work, creating settings and scenarios with just the arrangement of different shots. In a previous episode, Hawk talks about his culture's belief in the Black and White Lodges. He mentions how every soul must pass through the trials of the Black Lodge on the way to the enlightenment of the White Lodge.
There, you will meet your own shadow self.
Coop encounters doppelgangers of characters, some passive, others violent, like Laura's. This, of course, is setting up for the greatest twist in TV history, but that's not until a little later. Back to the camera psychology. One of my favorite shots in the entire sequence comes shortly after when we start on Coop walking through the curtains once again. Only this time, the camera pulls back from its starting point as a close-up, and as it pulls back, more of Coop is revealed, and we see blood seeping from his abdomen. It pulls back even wider to its final position, establishing that he was bleeding the whole time he was walking in, and bloody footprints trailing behind him are to show for it. Coop's reaction to the revelation that he's bleeding is timed to the camera revealing it to the audience. Again, the question of is it future or is it past is brought to the forefront. Coop was shot in that spot at the end of the first season, and later in the Black Lodge sequence, Wyndham Earle stabs Coop in the exact same spot as he tries to take his soul. Which is the wound from, future or past? Again, we revisit events from multiple points in Coop's odyssey. In his backstory, we learn that he fell in love with Earl's wife Caroline, who died tragically as he tried to protect her from the murderous psychopath.
I wasn't ready. Because I loved her.
Coop finds the bodies of himself and Annie Blackburn lying dead or unconscious on the ground, in a position that is similar to the way that he describes what happened to him and Caroline. The audience doesn't know it yet, but this is also foreshadowing for how Coop and Annie will end their journey through the Black Lodge. When they appear at the end of the episode, they're lying unconscious in these same positions. Like I said, time moves differently. Another example of that is how Annie's body is seemingly switched with Caroline's mind, and Caroline with Annie's. Coop's two lovers are here, but the place where one ends and the other begins is hard to tell. Will Annie share Caroline's tragic fate? The question is answered when Earl appears and tries to finish off Coop. Being a man of a good heart, he offers to sacrifice his own soul to save Annie's. Earl stabs him, but Bob, the spirit who possessed Leland Palmer and killed Laura, defeats Earl. But before Coop can escape the Black Lodge, he faces one final test, just as Hawk predicted, his own shadow self. A double is used for the shot in which he catches up to him, but for the most part, using just editing, a pair of contact lenses, and some excellent acting, a new villain is introduced, one who will change the course of the series forever. Cooper's doppelganger, Mr. C. The sequence ends with Coop and Annie lying unconscious, and then the aforementioned best twist ever.
How's Annie?
Also, one quick note about the sound design in this scene. When Mr. C smashes his head on the mirror, the sound of the glass shattering is mixed in with a small snippet of Laura Palmer's scream. I love it. Best twist ever, the effects of which are so dramatic that they pretty much break the universe of the series. Twin Peaks is effectively no longer Twin Peaks, and it's felt in the shift in tone, setting, story, content, musical choices, and cinematic structure of the next season. Coop is gone, and in his place is Mr. C, and the murderous spirit of Bob, who terrorized the world for the next 2.5 decades. Although the good guys make it out alive, the bad guys kind of win. At least until the next chapter in the story of Special Agent Dale Cooper and the late Laura Palmer. Twin Peaks' Black Lodge is iconic, but aside from its wonderful weirdness, it stands as a testament to the power of filmmaking. Cooper's trial in Beyond Life and Death amazes not with big budget effects, but with effects made from clever, inventive uses of cinematography and editing. Here, Lynch proves that the true power of film lies in great ideas and the brilliant ways in which we make dreams into reality. Hey, Cosmo here. I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. Twin Peaks is my favorite TV show of all time, and this video was a joy to make. If you have a suggestion for a movie or show that you'd like me to cover, just let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, the best way to support the channel is to subscribe and follow me on Twitter so you won't miss a video. I've got a lot more videos on the way, stay tuned. And remember, just like Coop says, give yourself a present today.
I have no idea where this will lead us, but I have a definite feeling it will be a place both wonderful